right, hey guys, Mr. Kyle Myers Mathematics, and let's just jump into using the quadratic formula for numbers 5 and 6. So the other ones, 1, 2, 3, and 4, already done. You can check those out on the other videos on the channel. Today we're doing 5 and 6, so if you're looking for 5 and, something after 5 and 6, and it's, around the time that I did this, which would be, I forgot to change the date, which would be the 6th of August. Let me change that. I forgot to do that earlier. Then you just gotta wait. Or you can let me know in the comments if you're looking for some other question ahead of time. You can also get the answers to these just by Googling it. So if you just Google it, you can find the answers. You can use other applications like Photomath and stuff like that just to get the answers. But if you want the answer explanations, that's what I'm here doing. Hopefully it's helpful. Hopefully this is helpful. So let's jump in. The first thing we want to do is you want to identify what's A, what's B, and what's C. So if there's no visible number in front of a thing, you assume it's 1, not 0, right? 1 is almost always the hidden number in the background. It's the math ninja. So it's always hiding out in the background here. So A is 1, B is 4, and C is 3. Once we've established that, we can plug them into the formula, which I left up here at the top from the last video and probably the one before that, where I did 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and now 5 and 6. So we need to identify what A, B, and C are. You don't necessarily have to write it down if you're a little bit more seasoned. But when you're just starting out, it might be helpful to do that just so you can see what numbers you're plugging into the formula. And eventually you probably want to have the formula memorized. I know it's kind of a long formula, but there is a video on it. So I think I have that in the description below on these videos on the quadratic formula. So you can check out that video. There's other videos on YouTube as well. That's just the one that I linked. So you can check that out, and it's like a quadratic formula song to help you remember the formula. Now that we have A, B, and C, we plug them in. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Okay. Now, on the last video, if you saw the last video where I was doing 3 and 4, I did them a little bit differently, where I kind of did the stuff under the radical separately. I want to show you what it would look like to do it the standard way, just because that's probably how your teacher's doing it. And then I'll show you on number 6 the other way that I actually like better. I think it's more organized, and it seems like it's less writing as well. So over 2a. There we go, and then we simplify a little bit as we go. So the opposite of 4 is just going to be negative 4. 4 squared is 16. 4 times 1 is 4, times 3 is 12. 4 times 1 times 3 is 12. Over 2 times 1 is 2. And 16 minus 12 is 4. And the square root of 4 is 2. And now we can split it up into two different answers. So negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. So there's one of our answers. Negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. So negative 3 is the other answer. Okay, so negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. You can do keep, change, change. Negative 4 plus 2 is the same thing as so if I say negative 4 plus 2, you keep the sign, but then you change the 4 to positive, and you change the plus to minus. So it's like a keep, change, change. It's a variation of keep, change, change. And then 4 minus 2 is 2, so this is going to be negative 2. So that's one way to do it to help you with integers. I have a whole video on integers, so you can go check that out if you want more practice with integers. But that's just one little trick you can do to help do some of those integer type adding and subtracting problems in your head. So that's pretty much it. If you want to check it, you can just plug them back in. Negative 3 squared would be 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. Okay, so negative 3 works. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So, and then of course you can plug those all into a calculator if you're allowed to use a calculator. I just did them in my head to flex a little, but it also saves time. So, all right, let's move on to number 6. So I'm going to drag this over because I know I'm going to be writing stuff behind my face if I don't. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 20 equals 0. What's A, what's B, what's C? A is 2, B is 3, and C is negative 20. If it's a minus, you have to write that as a negative because it's like ax squared plus bx plus c, so it's plus c. So c is negative 20. Okay, don't forget those minuses. Minuses become negatives. All right, so then we plug it in, and now I'm going to show you the way I do it a little differently. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus, and then I'm going to actually leave that part blank for right now, all over to a. So this is a little different. I'm actually going to do the part under the radical separately because that's the part that takes the longest to simplify. So b squared minus 4ac, square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a is right here. Okay, so all of this, once I finish simplifying it, it goes in this little pocket here. 3 squared is 9. 4 times 2 is 8. Still a minus there. 8 times 20 is a 160. And it becomes a positive because there's a minus here and a negative here. So 2 negatives make a positive. 9 plus 160 is 169, which actually has a square root. The square root of that is 13. So that goes right here. See how that's nice and neat? And now I don't have to simplify so much in here because under the radical is where you have to do most of the simplifying. So negative 3 plus or minus 13 all over 4. And then I can just split it up from there. So one of them is going to be negative 3 plus 13, which is actually the same exact thing as 13 minus 3, which is 10 over 4, which simplifies to 5 halves. And the other one, move this down just a little more. The other one would be negative 3 minus 13, which is negative 16 over 4, which is negative 4. And you can check those as well. It's a little harder to check the fractions by hand, but you can plug those into a calculator. You can also write it as 2.5, and that might be easier to plug into a calculator, 2.5 rather than 5 halves. But the negative 4, if we square that, that's 16 times 2 is 32. 32 minus 20 would be 12. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, so 12 minus 12 is 0. So that one works. And I'm sure the 5 halves one works as well. That one's a little harder to check by hand. I'm sure we could do it, but yeah, that's all right. I think it's fine. If it's wrong, let me know because I actually don't check these always, but typically I always get it wrong. But I am human, so I do make mistakes sometimes. So if I ever get something wrong, if you're looking at the answer choices and you see that it's wrong, let me know because I think that's happened once or twice in like the 200 videos that I've made. So it happens sometimes. Let me know if it happens, and I'll go back and I'll fix it in another video. But that's it for today. If that's been helpful, then check out other videos on the channel. Check out the stuff that I have on my website, myersmathematics.com, which is down in the description below. That's where you can reach out for tutoring, to email me if you have any questions, all that kind of stuff. You can grab all that stuff from my website, myersmathematics.com. Including a resource that I put on the front page called The 5 Math Mistakes Everyone Makes and How to Avoid Them. So you can check that out. That's a free PDF guide that I have that's useful for anybody in any math class. So go check that out. It's on my website, myersmathematics.com. And I'll catch y'all in another episode. Blessings.